Okay guys, it's Mrs. Dieterle again, and we are rolling into another lesson for math. Lesson 2 from chapter 11. We're going to be finding the perimeter, this time using a ruler. So we are going to be defining the units as either inches or centimeters. If you recall, in the last lesson we were just simply counting the units. This time we're going to define them. So in your bags you should have received a ruler. On one side of that ruler are inches, the other side measures centimeters. We're going to start with inches, and if you look at page 457 at the bottom, we have a couple of figures that we're going to be measuring. The first shape on the left is a rectangle, and if you notice at the bottom it says that the perimeter is so many inches. We're going to be measuring this in inches. So let's zoom in, and I want to take a moment just to look at the ruler. So my ruler is different from yours. This side, this represents inches. And notice the distance between 0 and 1. But on my ruler over here to the right, yours will be on the opposite side. It'll be like on this side here. But on mine here, this is where I have my centimeters. Notice the distance of 0 to 1 on the centimeters. They're much closer. So centimeters are smaller than inches. So you want to make sure that you're on the side of the ruler that has the larger space between 0 and 1. Also notice that I have a point here, but I also have a 0. The 0 is where I need to line up, that is actually the beginning of my ruler, is 0. That 0 needs to line up with this left hand edge. It needs to line up perfectly on that edge so I can measure accurately the size of this rectangle. Let's zoom in again. And now you can see that in fact this 0 is lined up. You almost can't see that line because it's so perfectly lined up with the beginning of the rectangle. So in measuring this rectangle, I can see that this is 2 inches. 2 inches. So let's go back to the page, and we're going to put 2 inches. Now, if this side is 2 inches, what does that tell me about this side? Well, if you can recall that the rectangles have 2 sides that are equal in length, you'll know that that other side is 2 inches. Now it's your turn. I would like for you to take your ruler and measure this smaller side here. Measure that smaller side using the inches side of your ruler, and go ahead and pause the video to give yourself a chance to do that and find the measurement of this smaller side. Okay, you should have had plenty of time to measure that if you pause the video. When you used your ruler to measure that side, you should have found that it measured 1 inch. And if this side measured 1 inch, what do you think this side is going to be measured at? Of course, 1 inch. Man, you guys are smart. So now, since all we're measuring is the outside edge, the perimeter, what does that equal? Well, we have 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6 inches. This is a sign, a notation for inches, so you don't have to write inches every single time. You can also, if you choose to, let me erase that, you can also choose to write I in and put a period. That also indicates 6 inches. When you are doing math, I've told you this before, but I want to remind you, we need to label our answers. So it's important that we put inches here so we are letting people know we know what we're talking about. And this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about dollars. We're not talking about centimeters. We're not talking about feet. We are talking about inches. So always label your answer. All right, moving on. We are going to use the other side of our ruler to measure this shape here, this square. What do we know about a square? Well, all 4 sides are equal. A square has 4 equal sides. So we need to keep that in mind as we're measuring this. Let's move over to the square. And now we are looking at the centimeter section of our ruler. Mine is on the side of my ruler. Yours is on the opposite side of your ruler. Make sure you're using the side that has the 0 and the 1 that are closer together, right? The 0 and the 1 must be closer together. Those are centimeters. I do not have this lined up correctly yet because I do not have my 0 here lined up with the beginning of my square. Oh, look, Centimeter Man has pulled it over. Man, he's adamant that we are right on the edge where he likes to live. So Centimeter Man has moved my 0 over directly in line with the beginning of my square. And now as I measure this shape, ooh, we're over to 3 centimeters. Nice. Let's go back to the first page. All right, 3 centimeters. We measured this top edge. We found that it was 3. And I just had a bright idea. I remember that one of the properties of a square is that they have 4 equal sides. I don't even have to measure the other sides. They are, in fact, 3. So let me fill that in down here. My pen is not writing too well. And just in case you don't believe me, I'm going to take you over to this last edge. I did line up my 0 on the top of that edge. And coming down, yep, just as I suspected, it's equal to 3. So now, counting by 3s, I can add up all the edges. 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 centimeters. 12. CM. Don't forget to label. Okay, guys, that's it for me. I'm going to go hang out with my 2 granddaughters, whom I will refer to as Pumpkin Seed and Soybean. If you'll notice in our pictures, both of them have been photobombed by Perimeter Man. See if you could find them. Have a great day, guys.